I had a lot of problems with the last seeding reveal, but I didn't make a video on it because they were going to redo the seeding in 2 weeks anyway, so there wasn't a point. The seeding will change one more time in the official reveal, but if you look at the reveal last season, it was very similar to the actual bracket. 3 out of the 4 1 seeds stayed the same, so we can expect this reveal to be a good indicator of the official bracket. There's clearly bias for and against certain teams. Why in the world is Regional 2 so much stronger than every other region? There's 4 national championship level teams all in the same region. USC, LSU, Colorado, and Ohio State being in the same region is absolutely ridiculous. But how does this happen? It's because someone is taking a 1 seed that shouldn't. South Carolina, Ohio State, and UCLA are projected to be number 1 seeds. No issue with that. And I don't think it would change unless someone loses really early in the conference tournament. Last year, Stanford got a 1 seed they didn't deserve, and it didn't take very long to prove that they shouldn't have got it. The same thing will most likely happen this year. Here's what annoys me about Stanford. The decision makers contextualize their losses to benefit them, but they don't contextualize their victories. What do I mean by this? They gave Stanford a pass for getting smoked by Gonzaga because Cameron Brink was sick and left in the second half. They gave them a pass for losing at home to Arizona because Brink didn't play, but they have no issue using their victory over UCLA as a signature win, even though Lauren Betts didn't play. Stanford did destroy Indiana, and they beat Oregon State when Reagan Beers was healthy, so they deserve credit for that. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, they are number 1 in the Pac-12, but they by far had the softest schedule. Unlike every other good team in the Pac-12, they didn't have to play UCLA, USC, or Colorado twice. Unless Stanford wins the Pac-12 tournament, they should not be a 1 seed. But seeing how Stanford lost to UCLA in the Pac-12 tournament last year and still got a 1 seed, I could see the same thing happening this year. USC has to be the most disrespected team in women's basketball. Yes, they lost 5 times, but 4 of those losses were against UCLA and Colorado on the road, and Utah twice. The only bad loss was Washington, but their wins are way more impressive than Stanford. They literally beat 3 out of the 4 number 1 seeds, Stanford, Ohio State, and UCLA. They also beat Oregon State twice, and Colorado. They are tied for 2nd in the Pac-12 and have a significantly harder conference schedule than Stanford. But that's enough on the Pac-12. By far the most egregious thing is UConn being a 3 seed. Guess which team on the board is the only team that hasn't beaten another team in the top 16? If you guessed UConn, you are correct. Here's my thing. If they think UConn deserves a host site, that's fine. But how are you going to say they are 3 seed when Notre Dame smoked them at home and isn't anywhere to be seen? What's even worse is that right after the seeding was revealed, Notre Dame smokes Virginia Tech. After the game, Charlie Cream says Notre Dame still hasn't done enough to earn a hosting site, having a 22-6 record, being in one of the toughest conferences, and beating UConn and Virginia Tech by double digits, who are supposedly top 10 teams, isn't enough. It's funny how Iowa beats Virginia Tech by 4, it's considered a signature win, but when Notre Dame beats them by double digits all of a sudden, it doesn't count. It's the same thing with UConn. Texas has been riding off that win all season, but Notre Dame beating them on the road by double digits is just considered a fluke or something. I am someone that's been high on UConn and gave them a lot of praise in the past, but there's no way they are a top 10 team right now. The season is almost over, and their best win the entire season is Louisville. The Big East is horrible this year. Them being undefeated in that conference means nothing. We're talking about a conference that will be lucky to have 3 teams in the tournament. There's no way a team that didn't have UConn's popularity would be anywhere near a 3 seed. I don't mind them punishing LSU for playing a weak schedule. If they wanted a high seed, they should have played real opponents. That's the price of playing cupcakes in the non-conference. LSU isn't entitled to a high seed just because they won the national championship last year. But at the same time, they need to punish everyone that plays cupcakes. Texas didn't play a single good non-conference team besides UConn, and the Big 12 isn't strong enough to make up for it. But somehow, they are ranked number 6 in the country. If Iowa doesn't beat Ohio State this Sunday, they need to be dropped too. Ironically though, that probably helps them. I see a lot of people complaining that Iowa is in South Carolina's division, but I would not be surprised if South Carolina or LSU ends up in the same region as Iowa. The decision makers will not risk losing out on a rematch between South Carolina or LSU. If I had to guess, they will put them in LSU's region. They don't want to risk losing out on that matchup because both teams have proven that they can be beat multiple times. The one thing I'll defend them on is Colorado. A lot of people are complaining about Colorado still being here. They are on a losing streak, but it was against some of the best teams in the country, and the games were very close. Their 7 losses were against NC State and 6 ranked Pac-12 teams. I'll end the video talking about Gonzaga. I don't like non-Power 5 conference teams getting a hosting site unless they play a brutal non-conference schedule, because it's not fair that Power 5 teams rack up losses because they are forced to play great opponents, while a team like Gonzaga only has 2 losses because they played 2 good teams all season. Imagine what a team like Utah or Louisville would do against the West Coast Conference. I could very easily see Gonzaga getting cooked on their home floor. I'm not against mid-majors getting hosting sites, but as I said earlier, they need to be playing multiple ranked teams in the non-conference for it to be fair. Princeton is a good example. They played 3 games against ranked opponents in the non-conference schedule. They beat a good Oklahoma team and almost beat UCLA. All Gonzaga did was beat Stanford without Cameron Brink in the second half. If they beat Louisville, I would be more open to them hosting because that's 2 quality wins, but 1 good win is nowhere near good enough to be hosting. That's it for this video. I hope they fix this before the real tournament starts. Feel free to give your thoughts in the comments down below.